Welcome to the Celebration Space. My name is Kaylee Phelps, and today we're talking about Event Swag 101, which I am excited to speak on, mostly because it might seem a little counterintuitive to talk about event swag, but events, even though they aren't happening in person, they are still happening virtually, and I believe swag is something that we can use to engage our audience from afar. So it can be something, whether you're engaging your employees, your clients that you may be pursuing, or just one, or if you have a conference or a virtual event where you might want to make sure that someone feels like they're getting the vibe that they're in the room from home. So that's why we're talking about swag today. Just to start off, not sure if you knew this, but I didn't know until probably within the last year and a half that swag stands for stuff we all get. So this is really talking through how do you decide the stuff that everyone gets, how do you budget for it, how do you figure out what's going to be a hit and what might be a flop. So I have some notes over here. I'm going to start with talking about more of the boring stuff first and then go into the fun stuff. I think a lot of people think that when you're designing swag or ordering swag or doing any of those things, it's just fun and you get to design things, but there's actually a lot that goes into it. So I'm going to start with the boring things, which are looking at your audience, your budget, the space you have, travel, and manpower, and then we'll go to some of the fun things like the quality of the items that you're getting, variation in items that you're getting, branding those items, and then potentially bundling them. And I'll talk about some resources that I've used throughout the years as well. So just to start with audience, as many times as I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times when it comes to events, and most things, I think that it comes down to your audience and your goals. So your audience is going to be whoever you're trying to engage with. If it's your employees, you know that they've been home, you know that they might be stressed out, you know what challenges they might be facing. If it is a corporate client, you might be trying to, really find something that's going to, if you're in travel, if you're in, different kinds of things, you might try to fit their niche. If they're in food and beverage, maybe you're going to try to get them some wine glasses or something branded for them or with your branding. Maybe you co-brand something where you have their logo and your logo. And then if you're doing a virtual conference or even a wedding where you're doing something from Zoom, you can get something that's branded to your specific event and make sure that people have it there. You can engage with people on social media and say, hey, hold up the, little coffee tumbler that we had and give us a cheers at 10:30 a.m. with your coffee with Kaylee. Or, maybe I need to get my own branded items. But you can do something where you can not only engage with your audience and make them feel special from afar, but you can also engage with them on social media and up your presence and create that community from afar. So number one is audience. I'm going to say also if you're going to be at an in-person event, even if you can't maybe fill the gap of someone, like maybe you know that your audience needs a coffee tumbler, but that's out of your budget. If you know that they are eco-friendly, or if you know that they love coffee, or if you know that they like to drink alcohol, maybe you can do rather than a coffee tumbler, you can do a little beer can koozie, or you can at least fit in line with what your audience likes to do. If it's a more feminine audience or predominantly feminine audience, that can, help you think about what might be helpful, maybe something for a purse on the go. If it's a predominantly male audience or it's people that travel a lot, thinking about what you might be able to create that will help them in their lives. And if it can't fill that gap, like I said, at least be in line with their values. If it's something where you maybe are working in the nonprofit sphere and sustainability is a big deal, don't get single-use plastics. Don't get something that they're going to be really cringed out about. So really looking at who your audience is, what you might be able to fill a gap in their lives, and then if you can't do that, at least keeping in line with their priorities and their needs. So moving on to budget. So Budget, I feel like swag items, people don't really think about them in their budget, but they do cost a lot of money. Something I typically like to do is go to the sale section of, I mean, I do that in real life as well, but if you go on, I am a huge For Imprint fan, so For Imprint is a really great swag site. You can work with, I think if you can support a local swag business or vendor, I did have a local here in Atlanta, Georgia vendor that I worked with that was really great, and we kind of would price out some items, and especially for higher quality items I would normally go with that individual contact, but for more general or bulk items I would go with For Imprint, and they were really great. They sent me a blue box every month where I got to demo some of their swag, so yeah, that was really great. And normally I would, if we were low on budget and we wanted to give out, we're going to talk about variation and quality a little bit later, but if you're trying to just give every single person that comes to your booth something, you can get a pen for 30 cents that's branded, that's kind of crummy, but you can get like 700 of those for pretty cheap, and you can make sure that every single person that walks by gets a pen. Is a pen going to get everyone to come to your booth? Probably not. Are people going to associate your brand with something that maybe is a little bit crummy because you kind of cheaped out on it? Potentially. Or are people just going to lose that pen and you're just not really going to have a ton of engagement? You're just handing out freebies. It's all about going back to those goals and that audience, like I said. So the budget, I would see what you have set aside. I know a lot of businesses are hurting right now, so I want to be really empathetic to that. And I think that if you had funds set aside for an event where you might be factoring in travel and hotel stays, maybe meal per diems, different registration for a booth, maybe traveling with all of your equipment and all of your stuff for that booth, seeing what you can do to either harness that and reuse those funds or reallocate those funds towards some type of swag, whether it's for your employees, your potential clients, or both, or just really seeing what you can get the most bang for your buck to engage with your audience and look at that budget. Obviously, at the end of the day, the bottom line is the bottom line, and you have to stay within those boundaries, but I think having that number up front and knowing, okay, we can spend $4.50 for 500 people, or we can spend, looking at that sliding scale of how many people you're trying to engage with and how much you can spend per person is really going to help educate what you're going to be able to order and what you're going to be able to start looking at, and maybe you go to the sales section like me. Space. This is a big one because I love a lot of flashy items or really lovely items like coolers or big travel sets, or the coffee tumblers I was talking about, wine cups, different things. They all take up a lot of space. So if you're behind a booth, or if you are working in an at-home living environment or working environment, and you live there too. But if you are working at home, you don't have a ton of space, maybe you're in charge of the swag, or your office has not a ton of space, if you're gonna order a box of just 25 tumblers is gonna be pretty heavy. You're paying for more postage for more things. We're going to talk about the travel of the items in a little bit, but just factoring in your space and your unpackaging, the manpower piece of that is going to be important. So I think later we're going to talk about variation. So do you get coffee tumblers just for your employees maybe, or for some bigger clients? And then do you do some variation in smaller items that are easier to travel, easier to store? I think it's just important to factor in like, okay, we have this wall. How many boxes can we fit on this wall, and how much stuff and how many people are we factoring in for this wall? And just really thinking about the space that you have and how you're going to transport those items as well. The heavier items are going to be more expensive to ship. They're going to be bigger boxes and heavier in terms of manpower and kind of exhaustion for your team. If you're unpackaging a lot of things, that's going to be a lot if you're doing the packaging yourself for potentially a swag kit. So I would just make sure that it can sound like a really good idea to have something like nice and big, but at the end of the day, make sure that you have the space for it, you have the manpower for it, and you have the funds not only to purchase the items, but also to get them from point A to point B to where you are, and from point B to point C to your goal audience. So I touched on manpower as well. That's also going to be a factor in terms of if you are going to be paying a company like Swag Up. We have used that in my most recent venture where they created welcome kits for all of the employees, and they actually package those for you, so that's built into the cost. But if you're balling on a budget and you want to grab some different items and put them in a kit and then move forward from there, just factoring in the amount of manpower that you have is going to be important as well. So now we'll go to the more of the fun things. So quality of items, I touched on it earlier, but I like to have a variety in the quality of items so that you can have, because you're gonna have a variety of people that you're engaging with. So if you're a nonprofit, you know that there are normally tiers to giving levels. There's normally different, you know, you might have like a gold sponsor and a silver sponsor and a brown sponsor. So you might wanna get items that correspond with the types of people and the types of investments and the types of engagement that you have, where you're going to have some big ticket items that you want to send to the smaller audience of those gold sponsors, and then kind of go down the line. Similarly, if you're doing swag for a wedding or for a conference, you might want to send something bigger and nicer to your grandparents or your, you know, people who are really close to you that you know are kind of those VIPs, whereas if you just have like your cousin's plus one that was gonna come, maybe you just send a smaller kit that's not as decadent. So I think really looking at the quality and keeping that budget number in mind and how much you can spend on each person is going to dictate that. Also looking at quality over quantity. If, like I said, if you're looking at getting 700 just kind of crummy pens versus maybe 300 USB chargers or something smaller that's going to be a little bit more of a quality item that's going to fit more of a niche in like a need in your audience's lives, I think that's something really to factor in. I would always err on the side of quality over quantity, but it can be different in every single situation. So I don't want to lead you astray if you are really looking to hit those numbers and just get that engagement and get your brand identity maybe out in the world. But also, if you're starting your brand identity, think about the items that you want to represent you and your company. Variation, like I said, I think that having some cheaper, smaller items and then some more deluxe luxury items is a good idea. Also, having just some of them on hand in case you have an impromptu client or you want to engage with someone. I think ordering and keeping that space in mind. So if you can have things on hand that you can use for later and send out, I think that's really wonderful. If you don't have this space, maybe using a company like Swag Up and having a kit pre-made and being able to order that in bulk when it's needed, figuring out what's best for you, but definitely making sure that you have a variation to fit the different levels within your audience, no matter what it may be. Branding. So making sure that you are very clear with the colors and the logos that you are going to be using on your different items. For me, and just from experience, just so that you know, it is always more expensive to print your logo in multiple colors. So for me, a really good kind of rule of thumb is to find colors within your brand, and then also having a white logo that's easy to print in one color is going to be really helpful to keep your costs down and also to make things really clear for your audience so it's easy to see at a moment's notice. I would make sure that your marketing team, of course, I'm sure they're already involved, but making sure that your, you know, the key stakeholders in what your brand looks like, your CEO, everyone is on the same page about what colors are within your palette and then what logos you want to use to represent your brand, and also what information you want to have on your items. Do you want your phone number? Do you want your website? Do you just want the logo? Do you have any kind of pamphlet or, you know, reading material that might be going with this, that's going to have more of those details? Making sure that everyone's on the same page with that branding so that you're not just ordering something in hot pink and then all of a sudden you have 400 hot pink pens and everybody hates them and nobody wants to use them or have them as a representative of your brand. So, and then bundling, like I said, I think mixing and matching items and seeing what you can do to you know, customize or make someone feel a little bit more special rather than just getting a pen and a mint. Maybe you can give them a pen and a little notepad of paper and a sticky notebook. Maybe you can get them a cooler with some koozies in it that kind of goes with a theme. I'm a sucker for a theme, but figuring out what you can bundle to make it feel a little bit more decadent and maybe make it feel a little bit more personalized as well. So just to recap, I would make sure that when you are looking at swag, whether it is for your employees, event attendees from afar, in person or virtual, or potential clients that you can't meet with in person, that you maybe can shift, travel budget to engaging with them with a swag item or a kind of welcome kit, you could also call it. You're gonna wanna start with looking at your audience, your goals, your budget, your space, your travel of the items, and your manpower. And then you're also, when you're looking at the items within that budget and within all of those realms, looking at your quality, your variation, your branding, and your bundling. So the two resources that I would highly recommend are for Imprint and Swag Up. I've had really great experiences with both of them and think that they're definitely worth giving a try. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. And until next time, I hope that you enjoy some swag that you might have in your own home or thinking about what you might want to engage your audience with in the future. And I hope that you enjoy celebrating today. Bye-bye.